Okay. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everybody, and thanks for being with us today. Today, we are going to talk about soil governance in Asia, thus about the role of policy in sustainable soil management. Before starting with the technical presentations and interventions, I would like to remind you that this webinar was organized as part of the implementation strategy of the Asian Knowledge Hub on sustainable soil and land management in the region. And in this regard, I would like just to take a few minutes of your time to introduce you to the Knowledge Hub. I will share my screen and start the presentation. I hope you can all see. Unfortunately, today I'm using only one screen. So I have some limitations. Apologize for this. Okay, the Asian Knowledge Hub on sustainable soil and land management. Let me start by the reasons why we, as a FAO RAP, we established this Knowledge Hub. Well, first of all, the hub aims to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and experiences on sustainable soil and land management in the Asian region. Thereafter, it also aims to enhance the capacity of individuals and organizations in implementing sustainable soil and land management practices, facilitate the identification of knowledge and technology gaps that can boost research and development activities, encourage the adoption of proven methods while inspiring innovation in sustainable soil and land management, and ultimately support also project formulation and implementation activities. Not only those led by FAO, but also we hope that it would help your organization on this aspect. In this regard, we look at the hub as a driver for positive change in agricultural and environmental practices. At present, the hub reports and describes countries' original engagements to assess, monitor, preserve, restore, or enhance soil health over time, as well as United Nations contributions to the topic in terms of equipment, online applications, certification systems, training systems, awareness raising systems, and much more. It's open access and live tools, so stakeholders have the opportunity to submit their contributions to it anytime. For doing so, you can just send me an email and I will be happy to discuss the possible inclusion of whatever you are developing within your organization or your country in the hub. In this regard, I would just like to remind you that information in it have been collected using a participatory approach involving, well, the public sector, non-profit sector, and academia, but actually, and many others, but actually this tool is meant to support the work of an even larger range of stakeholders, including farmers, local communities, extension agents, policymakers, and not last, even the private sector. Information in the hub are organized into 5 categories depending on their core scope. Scope 1 is on soil assessment, monitoring, and mapping. Scope 2 is on policy. Scope 3 is on investment. Scope 4 is on field activities. And Scope 5 is on communication. Today, we are going to talk about soil governance. So actually, this webinar fall into Scope 2 of the Knowledge Hub. Specific objectives of today's discussion are, well, to raise awareness on global and regional principles and recommendations on sustainable soil management, to assess soil governance in the Asian region, or at least to support running this assessment, and ultimately to discuss strategies for developing and or strengthening soil governance at the national and regional level. This would close actually the introduction to the hub, but I would like to make an announcement that also linked to the last agenda item for the webinar today, that is the International Soil and Water Forum. This is an event that will take place in Bangkok, so in Thailand, from 9 to 11 December 2024, so basically this year. And looking at the soil component, we will also discuss governance and policy. And indeed, Through this webinar, we would like maybe to collect some inputs that we can use for the forum in December. Just to close, I would just like to tell you that this forum is thought to be a bit innovative. We will mostly focus on solutions. So of course we will touch on issues, but then we also want to propose solutions to whatever we are discussing. And we really aim to involve the private sector, startups, university and research centers, and many more, because we want to have technology and innovation fairs. So we will allow all these stakeholders or entities to have a stand if their proposal is good, and therefore to present to all participants, including ministers. We want to bring at least 20 ministers from all around the world to the forum, and a couple of heads of states. So it's a very good opportunity. And in this regard, we will have a ministerial and stakeholder, we have a series actually of ministerial and stakeholders dialogues, and we will promote multi-stakeholder partnerships. With this, I end the introduction to the Knowledge Hub. And as a warm-up, for those of you that are usual to attend the webinars, you might know we really like warm-up sessions in them to start engaging with the audience. So to break the ice, I have a couple of questions that I would like to ask you, and I'm going to ask you these questions through Mentimeter. So please be ready to copy the link that you will see on screen. I will also put it in the chat, and otherwise use your phone to scan the QR code and complete the survey, or actually answer the question online. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. I hope you can see. The question is the following: how would you define soil governance? I'm keeping these on screen for a little longer, and then I will bring you to the answer page. How would you define soil governance? You should be able to write. Actually, let me copy paste the link to the question in the chat. So you all have it if you are unable to scan the QR code. How would you define soil governance? Now I will share my screen again so you can see answers as they come in. I hope you can see. So first definition: soil governance refers to having knowledge of what's in it and where should it be sustainably used. What else? How would you define soil governance? Let me ask you a second question then. Do you think that soil governance is useful? And if yes, or if no, why? Do you think that soil governance is useful? Yes or no, or maybe? And then why? Again, let me copy paste the link to the question in the chat. So that you have it. And then I bring you to the answer page. Meanwhile, I saw that replies came in for the first question, which is great. I will show you the answers now. So let's go back to the first question. Let's see the replies. So definition of soil governance, a good manage of soil and land use planning, stakeholder partnership and institutional arrangements that aim at supporting the conservation and sustainable use of soil. Soil governance includes formulation and implementation of laws and policies related to sustainable soil management. Decision-making employed by the national pertaining soil measurement, monitoring, and management. Policies on the management of soils in different areas. Soil governance is to implement policies and strategies by the local state government to utilize the soil for agriculture. And then we have soil governance is safeguarding our soil resources and promotes health. Oh, we have many replies. That's very good. Again, it refers to how to utilize the soil. It regulates use of soil and ensures the sustainable management of soil resources. And then policies, institutes, regulations, and practices to govern the soil in the way of use management and so on. Very good. So we are on the same page. We have a good understanding of what it is. Many thanks. Let's see how you reply to the second question. So do you think that soil governance is useful? Yes or no, and why? So far I see only yes answers. And the reasons for this support to soil governance are the following. Soil is the base for everyone development in nature. Soil governance can support market assessment. This will further guide everyone of the soil. Soil governance is required. Soil policy includes framework policies and practices for sustainable soil management. It's useful to protect the soil from harmful entities and sustain soil productivity. It's important because soil is affected by so many activities and by so many stakeholders. And ultimately, it would enhance collaboration and converged efforts, which will be more transformative and impactful. Very good. Let me ask you a last question. The last question is the following. What aspects of wait, I'm trying to copy. Okay, I will do it later. What aspects of soil and soil management are regulated by law in your country? So we are getting into the national dimension now. What aspects of soil and soil management are regulated by law in your country? Let me copy the link in the chat. And bring you to the answer page. This is a bit of a difficult and long one. What aspects of soil and soil management are regulated by law in your country? Let me share my screen again. If you want, you can answer this one also by raising your hand, and I will give you the floor live. I see a hands up. Christine? Or this is still you, Gina? I don't know. Still no replies. This is a difficult one, eh? Let me put it on screen again. What aspects of soil and soil management are regulated by law in your country? Manzurul, please. Let me enable you to talk. You should be able to unmute yourself now. Manzurul from Bangladesh. Okay, meanwhile, I see some answers are coming through. So I see soil conservation, soil management and land degradation, pollution, erosion and restoration of soil, land use and conversion. Okay, I think this is a good baseline for starting our webinar and the discussion. Thank you so much for sharing and for completing the Mentimeter. Now I would like to give the floor to the first speaker of the day, Director Gina Pinilo from the Bureau of Soil and Water Management in the Philippines. Director Nilo will tell us about the National Soil Health Program of the Philippines and the implementation of PD 1435. So, Director Nilo, the floor is yours. Thanks.
A pleasant good afternoon, everyone, from the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Soils and Water Management, Philippines, and of course, on behalf of the Asian Soil Partnership. I am pleased to present for this webinar the National Soil Health Program and the implementation of PD 1435. Next, please. As I am given 15 minutes for this presentation, I make sure that I share with you the key messages in soil governance for Philippine experience. First of all, the national soil health in the Philippines is holistic in approach. It considers three key ingredients: measurement, monitoring of soil health, and application of sustainable soil management. However, a good start is the key, and that is the measurement, which is the role of soil laboratories. A good measurement leads to precise monitoring of soil health and consequently targeted or site-specific intervention, such as the application of sustainable soil management, is implemented. Second, regulatory instruments such as the Presidential Decree 1435 that empowers the Bureau of Soils and Water Management to supervise, regulate, and control the establishment and operation of all soil laboratories in the Philippines is instrumental to the harmonization of standard test methods and quality soil data for decision making. Likewise, this regulatory PD 1435 facilitates the establishment of the Philippine National Soil Laboratory Network, or PhilNasolan. A strong network such as the PhilNasolan enables open communication such that it avoids conflict and competition among laboratories. It promotes camaraderie, enhanced capacities of laboratory staff, and sharing of resources and best practices. The Philippines National Soil Health Program, because of its holistic and integrated approach in the promotion of the adaptive balanced fertilization strategy for the key commodities, is expected to contribute to climate resilient, food secured ambition of the Philippines in 2030. What is the Philippines' ambition and policy action for sustainable agriculture? 2030 ambition on policy action for sustainable agriculture. By 2030, we shall have a climate resilient food system made possible mainly by empowered farmers and fisher folks, as well as well-informed players along the value chain. The food system is supported by healthy soils, a well-managed water supply, a wealth of biodiversity, and efficient climate information service. Zero waste, biomass-based rural industries are thriving and provides opportunities for rural employment. In 2023, the Philippines participated in APEC in the United States, and protocol was proposed by the Philippine government in this meeting under collaborative action. And that is to propose the establishment of soil health for Asian region and the Pacific, or what we call SHARP, a network of activities between and among member economies as a platform for data and information sharing, learning from each others on lessons and best practices, among others. It is good to note that the ambition for Philippines policy action for sustainable agriculture and food system puts emphasis on soil health. So, among the top 5 priority of the Bureau of Soils and Water Management and the present administration on soil and water management gives priority to the National Soil Health Program. And all other agenda, such as the implementation of sustainable land management to address land degradation, drought, and biodiversity, including the third agenda on strengthening the implementation of PD 1435, are embedded as key components of the National Soil Health Program. Consequently, the National Soil Health Program allows for the regular updating of our land resources information and ultimately mapping. And that is our fourth agenda. Overall, we do not talk only about soil health. Of course, soil and water, as mentioned by the FAO, is the beginning by which our soil or our land produce food. Next, please. Next. As early as 2021, the Philippine government approved the National Soil Health Program with 1.5 billion budget. And this is approximately 10.4 million US dollars. And it's continuing until now with a significant release of this budget. Next, please. And I would like to emphasize that over these years, 2021 to 2025, it is very critical that the first year of the implementation of the National Soil Health Program puts emphasis on the strengthening of soil laboratories. And over time, it is continuing from the National Soil Laboratories to all regions in the country. And now we are working on the provincial and making available the provincial soil laboratories in every province in the country. The three components, such as strengthening soil laboratories, monitoring of soil health, and sustainable soil and land management, is an integrated and holistic way to implement the National Soil Health Program, and each of these components receiving a significant budget. Next, please. And these are the three key components. Simply SMS, strengthen soil laboratories, monitor soil health, and sustainable soil and land management implementation to arrive at a climate resilient food and nutrition secured Philippines. In the strengthening of soil laboratories, we would like to give special credit to the Food and Agriculture Organization Global Soil Laboratory Network, as well as the Asian Regional Laboratory Network, or SEALNet, which allow us and empowered us to be able to harmonize the test methods in the Philippines and at the same time contribute to the FAO's effort on the development of standard operating procedure for selected parameters that will describe soil health. The Bureau of Soils and Water Management, in its fourth cycle from 2016, is an ISO 17025 accredited laboratory. And as part of the implementation of Presidential Decree 1435, we also try to prepare all other soil laboratories in terms of ISO preparedness. The Philippine National Soil Laboratory Network was also established as part of strengthening the Philippine soil laboratories. Next, please. Timer. Okay. For the monitoring of soil health, it includes not only the chemical parameters, but also the physical and biological parameters. These are available not only in the laboratory, but also for field tests. The card that you are seeing in front of you, or the soil health card, is a list of these soil health parameters which describe a particular farm. And these are connected to our laboratory information management system, or the National Soil Information Database. In the process, it allows us to regularly update our soil health maps. Next, please. In terms of the sustainable soil management implementation, our policies involves the protection not only of our lowland, but also the hilly land and upland. In the Philippines, above 18% sloplands are considered as public lands. And however, these are the same lands, hilly lands and uplands, that are also utilized for agricultural purposes. So the main agenda here is to control soil erosion, as well as to promote crop diversification and enhance biodiversity. I would like to highlight that the National Soil Health Program, ilang minutes remaining? The National Soil Health Program puts emphasis on the promotion of adaptive balanced fertilization strategy in the lowlands. And this includes our rice, our corn, and our high-value crop. Next, please. And overall, the impact is on soil health restoration and rejuvenation, increase productivity of agricultural lands, and at the same time, adapt and mitigate climate change. Next, please. Okay. These are some of the tools that were developed in the implementation of the National Soil Health Program. We implement a nationwide protocol for the moderately low to low fertile soils in the lowlands that are devoted to rice, to corn, and high-value crops, as well as we adjust the cropping calendar. There are also test kits, soil and water test kits available to make soil testing available in the field. But not only that, we continue to improve our services by providing mobile soil laboratories, establishment of provincial soil laboratories, as well as the distribution of compost facilities for biodegradable waste. Okay, and these are just some of the pictures and example of the tools. Actually, the PSWM fertilizer recommendation Fertrite is available and downloadable in Google App Store. And these are some of our support facilities. Next, please. Okay. Now, very briefly, I will talk about Presidential Decree number 1435. This mandate was given us as early as 1978 to supervise, regulate, and control the establishment and operation of soil laboratories in the Philippines. And that mandate was implemented 40 years after what happened before. But I just always think that it is very important to be able to undertake that mandate. You have to have a strong laboratory in terms of facilities, equipment, manpower, as well as a strong network. All of these work together to be able to successfully implement PD 1435. Next, please. And the PD 1435 implementation is in support to the Laboratory Services Division, where the sections are engaged in the chemical, physical, microbiological analysis of soil, water, and plant tissue. The PD 1435 talks about regulatory services, quality assurance, technical equipment and calibration, and lab information management system. The Bureau of Soils and Water Management is now engaging into the expanding to engage into calibration laboratory. Next, please. Okay. And part of the PD 1435 is to issue license to operate soil laboratories. And pakibalik. And so we do regular technical assessments annually, biannually in all of the soil laboratories, and those that comply with the requirement are issued license to operate soil lab. And those who do not are given appropriate training to be able to comply with the requirements. All soil laboratories are considered as our partners. So that's why we also capacitate these laboratories. As I said, the network allows us to be able to exchange note and help between and among each other. Next, please. Okay. And these are just some of the accomplishments for the PD 1435. Next. Okay. And I'm happy to note that as of the current count, we have 48 members of the Philippine National Soil Laboratory Network. It consists of the SUCs, the Department of Agriculture Regional Soil Laboratories, private soil laboratories, and provincial soil laboratories. And all of these laboratories, laboratory members of the PhilNasolan also offered and voluntary apply for the issuance, for the evaluation and audit for the issuance of license to operate soil lab. That's why I said this regulatory function of the Bureau of Soils and Water Management enable us to create a strong and big network of the Philippine National Soil Laboratory Network. I think that's the last. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention. God bless us all.
Thanks to you, Gina, for presenting. It was very interesting. And actually, we have a few minutes for discussion. So if participants have any question on what you presented or remarks based on their experience, they're free to take the floor either by raising their hand or by even writing in the Q&A. While waiting for it, I have a question for you. Actually, it's more like because the Philippines is so advanced on soil governance, I would like to ask you if you have any suggestions for countries that are approaching the topic or that are not so advanced. So how would you, what is your suggestions in terms of mainstreaming soil in policy?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lucrecia. So first of all, I think we need to have a integrated approach in addressing soil health. And that's why I said if we want to have a holistic approach in addressing soil health, there has to be three main ingredients: the ability to measure, the ability to monitor soil health, and the ability to apply targeted intervention measures or sustainable soil management. And this ability should be present. To measure, you have to have a strong soil laboratories. Monitoring cannot be successful unless you have a strong laboratory, because measurements happen in the laboratories, and monitoring needs to have measurements to arrive at accurate or precise intervention, and that is where your sustainable soil management comes in. The regulatory role of the Bureau of Soils and Water Management, or the implementation of PD 1435, is very instrumental. It allowed us to bring in all soil laboratories in the country. We do not compete. We come together. We help each other. And because you cannot do the analysis for the entire country with one laboratory alone. So that's why, as much as possible, we make sure that there are available soil laboratories nationwide, and it keeps expanding. The present administration is giving emphasis on expanding soil testing centers even in all provinces, because we need to have a good diagnosis of our soil health, and we need to ensure that we have optimum yield, and that in that way, a good diagnosis will arrive at a strong intervention. Thank you, Dr. Lucrecia, for that question.
Thanks to you, Gina, and also thanks for recalling the importance of soil analysis and having a strong and harmonized soil laboratory network, I would say. We actually have a question. Do farmers have to pay for their soil testing in the Philippines?
Thank you very much. So soil testing for farmers is available for free. So there are many ways by which they can avail of soil tests. We also have available soil test kits. We provide free test kits for every municipalities. Not only that, we ensure that many farmers are able to use it. So we provide training to the technicians as well as to the farmers. Secondly, they can also bring in their samples to the nearest regional soil laboratories, and everything for farmers are for free, because it is part of the National Soil Health Program, which is funded under that program. So in that way, we are able to provide free soil testing. It's all part of the package of the National Soil Health Program. So I think that is one advice I would like to say. So the soil testing is not independent. You have to attach it to one goal, and that one goal is soil health, national soil health. So that's why our funding for national soil health also include the funding of soil testing to all farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just out of curiosity, there is like a prescribed set of parameters that the government pay for, or farmers can request whatever analysis they want, and it will always be covered by the government?
Okay. Even in our evaluation of soil laboratories, the first criteria is that at least that can be considered as a soil laboratory if it is able to provide major soil parameters to describe fertility. And these are pH, NPK, and organic carbon. That's the minimum requirement. But for all other laboratories, analysis also for bases and micronutrients are available. And that is given for free. Besides, we also do mapping of the different types of soil in the country. So all other parameters that we call reference sites or reference mapping unit already include that parameters, all other parameters that are not necessarily necessarily to be monitored every cropping season, but you can do the monitoring every 3 years because these are more stable parameters. But for monitoring purposes, you can do the major parameters on NPK before and after cropping season.
Thank you very much, Gina. I will now move to the next speaker, but I would like to ask you if you can please keep an eye on the Q&A box. There are like one question and one reflection for your kind attention, and you can reply directly in the Q&A, and everybody should be able to see your answer. Once again, thank you very much. Now it's a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Lucrecia, for the invitation.
Thanks to you. Now it's a pleasure to give the floor to the next speaker that is from Thailand. Please welcome Dr. Aunop Putaso, researcher in soil survey at the Land Use Planning Group of the Land Development Department in Khon Kaen Province, Thailand. Dr. Putaso will provide us with a general overview on soil governance in Thailand, and I'm now very happy to pass the floor to him. Dr. Putaso, over to you, please.
Yes, thank you, Lucrecia. Let me share my slide first. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, all participants. On behalf of Land Department, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperatives, for my presentation today, I would like to share my, actually I'm not specialist on the soil governance, but I'm trying to share an opinion for the soil governance in Thailand. Firstly, I would like to give you briefly about the current situation and future direction of Thailand development. Currently, Thailand is facing several challenges impeding national development, including in the context of economics, social, environment, and natural resource. And also, we are facing on the other rapid change, be it the aging societies disrupt technology as well as the climate change and ecological degradations. And in case of the vision of our countries as stipulated in the national strategy is to become a developed country with securities, prosperities, and stability in accordance with the sufficient economies philosophies. So this slide, I just show you very fast about the strategies, about the natural strategies that we are focused on appropriate balance between social and economic development and environmental stewardship. Actually, the 6 key strategies are national securities, national competitiveness enhancement, human capital development, and we are also focused on social cohesion and just societies, and eco-friendly development and growth, and public sector rebalancing and development. And these diagram, we are trying to link between the vision of national strategies with the vision and lead to the national strategies, and also related to the natural economic social development plan, especially for the agricultural development plan as well. And the administrative of Thailand are regulated by national government organizations. The services are divided to 3 levels, such as central, provincial, and local. In the central government consists of the ministry, bureau, and department. And so let's move to our topic for the soil resource and land use. In Thailand, the 30% of population engaged in agricultural sector. At the present, there is about the equivalent to 46% of the total areas that were found suitable for agricultural use, which mainly rice, cassava, maize, sugarcane, rubber, and oil palm. and the detail of the status of soil resources in Thailand, which mainly low fertilities, especially occur in the northeast of Thailand. And also we have the problem of soil also limited for agriculture. There are organic soil, saline soil, acid sulfate soil, sandy soil, and shale soil, which is the most area, especially in the sloping area. And also we have soil erosion leach occurring in many areas, especially in the steep slope. So in the condition of social issue, I would like to state that the issue of aging, we are facing on rapidly aging farmer with young moving out from farming, and also we still lack inequalities in land ownership. We found that 40% of households do not have land ownership. In case of this issue, I think this situation may be limited for sustainable soil management, especially in case of knowledge and technology transfer. So, I'm trying to link about the social issue has also impact on the success of sustainable soil management. And in my experience, we think the soil governance is quite important for sustainable soil management. As my reviews and I discussed with my colleagues related to our work and natural strategies, and also the action plan, I would like to identify the key component into 6 components for soil governance, including first is restoration of degraded soil, 2, soil information and monitoring, 3, awareness, raising awareness and participations, 4, knowledge, innovation and transfer technologies, 5, coordinator and cooperations, and the last one, I mentioned about the existing legal institution for soil and land. So I would like to show you an overview of the project improvement and action from policy level to work level in Thailand. In case of restoration of degraded soil or fertile soil, we focus to rehabilitate and conserve agricultural resource and manage agricultural lands. In my department of the land development department, they have responsible for soil survey, some mappings, land improvement and land use plannings. Actually, at the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperative, we have the 2 offices, such as the Land Development Department and Agricultural Land Reform Office, who works for soil and land management. And this slide just shows the strategic issue from Land Development Department, especially mobilization of land use plan and soil and water conservations. And also the Land Development Department has prepared the land use plan of Thailand to be a guideline for making a policy recommendation on land use and land resource management in agricultural areas. And the other office that I mentioned before, Agricultural Land Reform Office, they provide land to the landless farmers and enforcing fair distribution of land among them by giving them land ownership under the Agricultural Land Reform Program. And we have the other sectors. The Office of Natural Land Policies Committee is a government agency under the Office of the Prime Minister. They play an important role and duty to set the frameworks and guidelines for land and soil resources management in country, including solving urgent problems for the people. So in case of strengthening soil information and monitoring, we work for the purpose of supporting and linked to the activities under implementation projects, and also to update and to develop the tool and system. And also we support to the legislation enforcement. In case of the agricultural data, access of agricultural and relevant data and information under the collaboration from all sectors, what it gets for agricultural management. For examples, a set of 45 layers of information from all sectors was analyzed and used for making decisions on agricultural land management through the tool as we name agricultural map or AgriMap. Now we have AgriMap online in Thailand for the agricultural management. In terms of knowledge and research, we also have the collaborative research and work with the various frameworks in Thailand. So in case of innovation, development, and technologies transfers, in this case, I would like to talk to you about the Thailand Soil Doctor Program or soil doctors. They play an important role and being a mechanism in transfer knowledge and technologies. And also they do education and social awareness in soil and land development to increase the efficiencies of agriculture in production in Thailand. So at this point, I would like to ask more the important point that I would like to mention about the key factors. The key factor that the most of farmers join the soil doctor program is to adhere to the sufficiency economic philosophy of the loyal initiative of His Majesty the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej of King Rama IX. And this slide show the farmers who got the outstanding award in Thailand, which is the partly incentive of works for the farmer to drive the sustainable soil management in Thailand. And in case of coordination and cooperation, we emphasize to articulate sustainable soil management with multiple actors from all sectors. So, and also I would like to mention about the legal instrument. Actually, okay, I think you have known before, land is considered an immensely valuable properties. Now, in Thailand, we have legal frameworks of land regulation and governance. The five following a major piece of regulations or legislation constitute of the core of Thailand land regulation and governance frameworks, and also the law and policy related to soil and land resource in Thailand. Soil and land protection are regulated by the legislation and land use planning document, such as we have a law on the environmental protections, law on land protection, and the law on the agricultural lands. So, but I think the soil governance is still challenged especially in the three issues, such as the gender balance. We talk about most of labor in agricultural system are youth and women who are undereducated, leading to lack of knowledge on soil management. And also we are focused on about the land tenures, that the people without land right can neglect fertilities, improvement of land and soil resources. And also the migration. We think the migration is the cause of land degradation and loss of productivities. So in conclusions, as mentioned before, soil and land management in Thailand still needs to update new technologies and soil development research to drive policies against poverty and land degradations. In addition, will design land use plannings in conjunction with appropriate legal, political, social, and physical techniques can pave the way for achieving sustainable soil and land quality control. Simultaneously, these efforts can help to reduce conflicts over land use between government officials and land users. Thank you very much. This is my part from Thailand.
Thank you very much, Dr. Putazo. It was very interesting, and also thanks for touching on land tenure, women, and youth. It was very interesting. As per the Philippines, we have a few minutes to take some questions, if we have any from the audience. Meanwhile, I would like to ask you a question, if you don't mind. Is there any system in place in Thailand to monitor the impacts of all these laws, frameworks, and regulation? How do you monitor impacts?
Excuse me again, please.
Yeah, I would like to know if in Thailand you have any system to monitor the impacts, to assess and monitor the impacts of the different policies, laws, frameworks, or strategies.
Actually, now we have the implementation projects like the soil quality monitoring, and also we have the project that we use the mechanisms of the projects to monitor as the land degradation neutralities. Actually, we have a system of the laboratory works to monitor and to analyze the soil system. Actually, the implementation work is based on the policies. I just mentioned about only for the land development department. We have the monitor in case of soil qualities, but we still have the issue, the problem about the law enforcement in Thailand, especially in the land development department. So yeah, finally, I think that the system that we monitor is related to the qualities assessment, soil quality assessment. Yeah.
Okay, so if I understood well, you rely on projects to do the monitoring,
Yes.
and then to the analysis of laboratories, right?
Yes.
As farmers send samples
Yes.
to the labs.
Yes.
Okay, so you are also able to monitor trends,
Yes, and
changes in the
also
status of soil.
we have a laboratory works, and the farmer can send the sample to our laboratories by throughout the whole area. And then I would like to share, we have the web service that to service for the farmer for free analyze of soil in the farmer fields. Yeah, that is for free. And then we got the data from this web service and trying to monitor the soil quality from the improvement in the farmer fields. Yeah.
Okay, and then, sorry, I keep on with the flow. And then these data are sent back to the government, like to the decision makers for eventually improving the policies?
Yes, actually, we analyze this the result of soil qualities and trying to revise the such as the map of carbon of the nutrients to make a policy, because now we have the two, as I named, the AgriMap online. There are many layers of information that we analyze and integrate to make a decision. Yeah, that is related to the policy making.
Okay. Thank you very much. I see a question in the chat, but it basically aligns to what I just asked you for. Anyone else from the audience would like to ask a question? Not Mane, please. I will give you the floor. You lower your hand. I'm not sure if you still want to talk. Just in case, let me know. Anyone would like to ask a question live or Let me see question and answers. Yeah, question. How do you attract youth to work in agriculture? Dr. Putazzo, could you hear the question?
Yeah. So I think
How do you attract the youth to work in agriculture?
that's right.
Attract, like, how do you get young people to work in agriculture? What
Yeah.
motivates them not
Yeah.
to flee the fields?
Actually, yes. Sorry. Actually, we have the program of like for example the soil doctor programs. Actually, we in the past we have the youngers for to join our program of soil doctors. Yes, there's a trying to, and also we, yeah, we have the program for the younger soil doctor in Thailand, and also we have raising awareness in the university and in the school to join us for the management in the agricultural area. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Again, we will keep the question and answer channel open. So if anyone has further questions for Dr. Putazzo or for also Dr. Nilo, please feel free to ask them in there. Rohani Khan, yes, I'm giving you the rights to talk, and after this we will continue with the next session. You should be able to unmute yourself now. Mr. Khan? If you want to take the floor, you have to unmute yourself, please.
Hello everyone. Thank you for your good presentation. My question is that how many is the major factors for the land management?
Yeah, I'm not sure that is the answer you right. I think the factor that we use for the land management, I think it depends on the knowledge and innovation or technology that we have. Actually, we have a list of knowledge and innovation in our department, but I would like to mention about the set of or the package of knowledge. It could be matched to the depend on the social, the geo-socials in the agricultural and match to the farmers. And also, I think the people or the farmer is the key person who drive the management in their land, because in Thailand we have the problem. We're trying to link to the philosophies or to the sufficient. I trying to how to say the people we have to go in deep for to make them understandings to care and to take care of their land. And yeah, I think the key factor that I think we have to consider, yeah, into point in the knowledge and the farmers, yeah, that we have to think.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, for contributing to the discussion. And thanks, Dr. Putazzo and also Dr. Nilo, for being with us in this first part of the webinar. Now, before moving to the next topic and session, I would like to ask you some questions. So for this, I have some polls, so no need for you to use Mentimeter. The first question is the following. You should see it on your screen. Does your country have a soil strategy, a national soil strategy? Yes, no, or you don't know? Does your country have a soil strategy or national soil strategy, or maybe it's called in another way, but it still refers to the same thing that we are discussing? I will close the poll shortly. Please, Harry. Okay, so the majority said yes. Your country has a national soil strategies, but it's interesting to see also that eventually this is not present, or it's not clear if there is one or not. Then the second question is the following. What is your opinion on soil strategies or national soil strategies? Do you think that it would be useful to have one, or maybe having one will not change much in your country because policy is not a priority? Or maybe having a national soil strategy helped your country a lot, or did not change things much? Or you can also say other. What is your opinion on soil strategies or national soil strategies or any other soil strategies other another name that you have in your country? Please, Harry, I'm about to close the poll. Okay, the majority of you said that it helped your country a lot. Then it would be useful to have one. And there is also a pessimistic one saying that unfortunately it will not change much in his or her country because policy is not a priority. So in that case, if we want to work on soil governance, we have to start from another level. Many thanks. Now I would like to give the floor to the next speaker of the day, Mr. Giacomo Roccheggiani, soil governance expert at the Global Soil Partnership of FAO. Mr. Roccheggiani, the floor is yours for introducing us to the Global Soil Partnerships tool for improved soil governance and country support.
Many thanks, Lucrezia. Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Many thanks for this nice introduction, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening to everyone, depending on where are you connected from. My name is Giacomo Roccheggiani, and as Lucrezia told, I work as soil governance expert for the Global Soil Partnership of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. So let me share my screen, or I don't know, Lucrezia, if you can share the presentation for me, since I don't have a very strong connection. Could be possible? Many thanks.
Yeah, just give me a second. I have to
Yeah,
catch
sure.
up.
Many thanks. We can maybe start a very introductory speak. As a global soil partnership, we are working in several fields on the soil governance. Many thanks, Lucrezia, for sharing. And today I'm going to present the tools that the Global Soil Partnership has developed during the years for improve the soil governance and also for the advocacy of soil governance. Next slide, please. So as you may know, the soil provides a lot, is pivotal for our life. on this planet, not just for human life, but also for the life of animal and plants, as it provides several fundamental ecosystem services. Just to mention very few, from the food we get between 90 and 95% of the food we consume. It is a great ally in fighting and adapting to climate change, thanks to its capability to store carbon. And also it helps us in the climate regulation, is habitat for a lot of organisms, it's also helps us in in production of the biomass. So we know that the soil is really fundamental for the life of human, animal, and plant on this planet. So we have to protect it in maybe a better way, let's say like so. Next slide, please. But we have to improve our soil governance. But what is the soil governance? Soil governance refers to the set of policies, institutions, practices that guide the sustainable management and use of soil resources. It encompasses normative and customary legal and policy frameworks, decision-making processes, and private and public stakeholder engagement. And all these factors are aimed at addressing soil-related challenges while promoting soil health and ecosystem services. And also, the components of soil governance can be seen as any other element or form of conduct carried out by institution or individuals that affect the utilization or the protection of the soil itself. So is, as we can see, is a very broad concept. And next slide, please. So here, the Global Soil Partnership, we are working for advocacy of the soil and also in improving the soil governance at international level. We are trying also to develop few documents, and there are some concepts that I would like to highlight. Of the different legal frameworks that are present in the different countries. So first of all, if we want to protect the soil, we have to define the soil, of course. So I think that all the legal frameworks, policies, national strategy, and so on and so forth have to have a clear definition and objective of what soil is, and would be also very useful for protecting the soil at deeper level, to have a definition of ecosystem services, so that we can link the protection to the soil to the ecosystem services that this element provide us. And also to set clear goals for soil protection and conservation within the legal framework. Also, should be present a section dedicated to the degradation control. Of course, we want to reduce the degradation of our soil. We want to restore our degraded soil, and so to reverse this trend, and also to implement restriction on practices that are causing this soil degradation. And a useful tool could be the economic instruments, of course. So we, in a sound legal framework, should be present also a section dedicated to the economic instruments and incentive. So to provide financial incentives for the sustainable soil management practices, and to implement penalties for the ones that are not complying with the soil management laws. Next slide, please. So in the documents that we are working on in the Global Soil Partnership, we are trying to put few concepts into practice. So we think that to be effective, a soil regulation must be chronologically all-encompassing or comprehensive. So to speak, we have to consider the state of the soil and the impact of the past human activities, and so to relate the future challenges in the best possible way. The second one is to establish a awareness-raising system in civil society to supplement the enforcement of legislation, because we think that if the citizens, if the industries are part of the designing process of the law, they can be more likely to follow the law itself. And the last one is the the presence of a lot of stakeholders that have to relate with the soil. So, and all these actors often hold disparate views and interests, and an holistic approach may be the only one capable of delivering tangible benefits. So we need an approach that can take into consideration all the different demands of all the different stakeholders that have to deal with soils. Next slide, please. So the Global Soil Partnership was established in December 2012 as a mechanism to develop a strong interactive partnership and enhanced collaboration and synergy of efforts between all the stakeholders, as we are saying. The Global Soil Partnership also was created to fill a global gap in the soil governance, and the main purpose is to reverse the growing trend of soil degradation through the promotion of sustainable soil management. The Global Soil Partnership has adopted 3 different but interrelated approaches in this regard to address the current global soil issues. The first one is the policy advocacy. The second one is the development of technical tools. And the third one are programmatic actions focused on the implementation of sustainable soil management practices at field level. Next slide, please. The Global Soil Partnership is composed by 7 different regional partnerships, 4 sub-regional partnerships, 14 national soil partnerships. So we are trying really to engage soil governance at all levels, starting from the international to the municipality. So we really think that we need to engage all the different stakeholders at all different levels in order to have a sound legal framework that can protect the soil from different point of view. Next slide, please. So I was talking about the technical tools developed by the Global Soil Partnership, and these are the tools that have been developed during the years. So 10 years after the creation, the GSP has developed critical documents for the conservation and improvement of world soils, including the World Soils Resources Report, the voluntary guidelines for sustainable soil management and the International Code of Conduct for the sustainable use and management of fertilizers. And these documents have been milestones somehow in the protection of soils and in their positioning on the international and global agenda. The status of world soil resources reported on the 10 main threats to soil health, including erosion, soil organic carbon loss, nutrient imbalance, salinization, acidification, and so on. And on the other side, the voluntary guidelines on sustainable soil management outlined key actions to counteract and reverse these soil degradation processes and drivers. In both documents, nutrient imbalance was identified as a major threat affecting soil health at a world level, leading to devastating environmental, social, and economic effects. The International Code of Conduct of Fertilizer is a document that set out a set of guidelines or rules to manage the fertilizer. And the World Soil Charter is somehow a document that want to set out some principle for the developing of the of soil governance. Next slide, please. So the revised World Soil Charter was originally adopted by FAO in 1981 and was updated in 2015. And as I was saying, it provides international principles, concepts, international agreed principle for the sustainable use and management and protection of soil. Next slide, please.
You have
think-
2 minutes, huh?
Many thanks, Lucre. The revised World Soil Charter have several key principles, as you may see from the slide, as from the starting from soil conservation to education and awareness and so on. Next slide, please. The voluntary guidelines, on the other hand, were adopted in 2016 by the FAO Councils and serves as a comprehensive guide for policymakers to develop, implement, and refine soil management and policies. Next slide, please. Again, next slide. Thanks. So I try to cover all the topics of today. Also I wanted to briefly talk about Soilex. Soilex is a global database developed by the Global Soil Partnership that aims to facilitate access to information on existing legal instruments on soil protection and prevention of soil degradation. Is a forum of exchange of information, so where all the users can see how the soil is protected in the different countries. And so we can is also a great instrument for like comparative law, as we can see as different countries have related to the same issue, there is to say the soil protection in different way, and they also have found different solutions that maybe are the best ones for their country, but maybe in another context they probably are not so effective. So also we have to keep these concepts this concept in mind. So one size fits all solution cannot work for all environmental issues and for soil specifically. Next slide, please. So the legal and policy instruments in Soilex, as I was saying, can be searched by country profile, as you can see from the left side of your slide, or by soil-related keywords. And so the information provided by the database allows users to have the complete document, as well as detailed summary of its content. And this last version is particularly useful for users that are not so used to read maybe legal documents. So it's very, very useful also for the average citizen, the technician, scientific people, and so on. Next slide, please. There is also a map in Soilex that showing those states that have a regulation exclusively dedicated to soil protection, the so-called Soilax. Next slide, please. So we know that Soilex is a living platform, and we have now shared a questionnaire with the national focal points. So I hope also that the focal points are present at this meeting have so this email, so that we are trying to update the information that are contained in the database. In addition to update this information, we are trying to focus on two new topics. There are soil pollution regulation and the simple database. Simple database is a database that encompasses the information requested by national authority in order to import or ship soil sample for lab purposes. So I will share the link briefly, and I would kindly ask to check those information. Next slide, please. The GSP, we are also working on the elaboration of several documents related to soil governance and its management and protection from our regulatory point of view. We are trying to develop a definition, an international accepted definition of soil governance through ITPS letter, this International Technical Panel of Soil. We are also trying to develop a legal guide on sustainable soil management that should encompass all the principles that should be kept in mind by the policymakers when they are approaching the law designing activity, and a comparative legal analysis on sustainable soil management and soil protection. Additionally, the Global Soil Partnership Secretariat is providing technical advice to several members that are to develop new or trying to revise their soil legislation. Next slide, please. And that was all from my side. Thank you for your time and attention, and sorry if I...
Thank you very much, Giacomo. No, it's okay. My suggestion is that we pass to the next speaker and then we address all questions in once. So now we will get to talk about the impacts of policies. And today, for having this talk, we have Kirara Homma, PhD student at the Land Economics Group of the University of Bonn in Germany. Mr. Homma will introduce us to her work on the analysis of the impacts of land use policy on biodiversity on world's grassland. So, Ms. Homma, the floor is yours. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the nice introduction, Lucrezia. Let me share the slide. Presentation slide.
Yes, but we see not the full screen. We see the working slides. You should switch screens.
Now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Kirara. I'm a PhD student in Land Economics Group at the University of Bonn in Germany. In our group, we are analyzing soil degradation or land degradation and also public policy impact evaluation. And today I would like to bring some scientific research perspectives to this webinar. So now I'm going to talk about one of our research projects, the impact of land use policy on biodiversity, the evidence from global empirical analysis from world's grassland. The quick summary of our paper. The research question is, how does agri-environmental policy influence biodiversity on world's grassland? And secondly, as a side effect, how is food production changed in response to the policy? The data we use, depending on the methodology we employ, we constructed country level or grid level and year panel data. To capture grassland conditions, as for biodiversity, we constructed bird species richness. And to capture food production of grassland, we created protein production indicator. And also we created several different management intensity data at a grid cell level. The time duration of our analysis is from 2001 to 2018, and we are focusing on national or EU level agri-environmental land use regulation to evaluate their impact. As a method, we combine two different spatial econometrics approaches such that those cross-validate each other. One of them is so-called difference in difference design. This is for country level analysis. And we also employ border difference in discontinuity design for grid level analysis. More details will be explained a little bit later. As a main result, we find that policy improves biodiversity while decreases food production on a global scale. However, this policy trade-off is heterogeneous among countries, which gives us some insight about what kind of country condition makes policy more effective and not. Some backgrounds about grassland. Grassland accounts for 2/3 of the world's agricultural land and providing important different services such as habitat for various species or food production through livestock, as well as climate regulation. However, grassland degradation is a serious global problem. One of the main causes is management intensification. To meet an increasing global meat demand caused by population and income growth, many countries intensify their management on grasslands through more intense grazing or fertilization or more frequent mowing. As a consequence, we are observing biodiversity loss or lower productivity on grassland because of bad soil quality. In response to current land degradation, many countries around the world have implemented different agri-environmental policies. However, compared to other land cover type like forest land, the impact of policy on grasslands are not well studied yet. Therefore, our research is focusing on the impact of policy on specifically grassland conditions. Again, the data we use to capture grassland condition at country level, we constructed two different indicators. To capture biodiversity on grassland, we created bird species richness based on the bird observational points data from citizen science project called eBird. Using these observational points data, we counted how many different species observed for 1 year in each 1 square kilometer grid cell for both all species as well as only threatened red-list species. Actually, bird species richness is just one of the biodiversity indicators, but we focus on this indicator because birds are highly mobile and tend to concentrate in healthy grassland with diverse and abundant food sources. Therefore, bird species richness can capture not only the quality of grass itself, but also the diversity of other organisms like insects. As for food production, we constructed potential protein production based on remote sensing data, net primary productivity, which capture the amount of carbon produced in each area. we multiply this NPP by feed efficiency and create the index to capture how much protein produced if the grasses are used for livestock feed. And those two variables are in the end, we take average of those variables. We take average of all the grassland grid cell values for each country. So in the end, to index is country year level. In contrast, we also created 3 different management intensity data at grid cell level. First one is grazing stocking rate. This is modeling-based data at a resolution of 0.08 degree for annual level. So higher value of this indicator means higher stocking rate, therefore more intensive management. The second one is grass intensive greenness, which captured the amount of management input, such as fertilizer input. This is captured by, again, another remote sensing data, mean normalized difference vegetation index, so-called NDVI. Higher value of this indicator means more inputs on grassland, therefore, again, more intensive management. The last data is intervention frequency, which is captured by annual standard deviation of NDVI. In the same way, higher value of this indicator means more intervention, such as more frequent mowing, so more intensive management. As for policy side, we leverage policy database from previous study WIPA et al. 2024, which includes around 6,000 agri-environmental policy from roughly 200 countries implemented between 1960 and 2022. Our focus is a land use policy, so we extract only land use, national or EU level land use policy from this database, and we confirm that there are in total 410 land use policy, and the scheme of those policies are only legislation or regulation, so not a payment scheme or framework, for instance. As an empirical strategy, as I said, we employ 2 different methodologies. So I'm going to talk about first methodology, country level difference in difference design. The main assumption is that environmental and socioeconomic conditions between country and its neighboring country are relatively similar. Therefore, the grassland condition trends between those 2 countries are also similar. To put it differently, if we find any different trends in grassland condition between them over time, this is likely to be driven by some country level factor like policy change. The validity of this assumption is confirmed by conducting placebo tests in our dataset. I will skip the details of the information for this methodology, but based on this assumption, basically we relate the policy status in each country to the grassland condition of their country, of those countries. And then we control several different factors, such as country and year fixed effect and time variant factors. With country fixed effect, we can eliminate any impact of country-specific characteristics, such as cultural differences or geography. And with year fixed effect, we control away common trends or shocks, such as changes in cost and prices, for example. So in using this methodology, let's move on to the result. First, for biodiversity, as you can see, we find the positive impact of policy on bird species richness. From column 1 to column 4, we changed the set of controls, but column 4 shows the full set of controls. And specifically, we find that each policy leads to 1.3 more bird species. So we find a positive impact on biodiversity. Besides, more importantly, we find the same policy impact on only red list species, although the magnitude is smaller, but this is great findings because not all the species are equally valuable, but rather we are more interested in how threatened red list species are conserved or not. And we found that the public land use policy globally improved the red list species richness. On the other hand, we find that the policy has negative impact on food production. Specifically, we find that one additional policy leads to 2.4% reduction in potential protein production, which is equivalent to 2.10 to the 9th gram of protein decline. So to summarize, our findings shows that at the global scale, agri-environmental land use policy improved bird species richness, not only common species, but also threatened species. However, they also reduce grassland productivity and thereby food and particular protein supply. So this is based on country level analysis, but this methodology has pros and cons. While this methodology can capture the impact of policy on entire country's grassland conditions, it ignores the heterogeneity or differences of grassland within a country. Therefore, we conducted the second methodology, so-called border difference in discontinuity. The main assumption is almost same, but now instead of entire country, we are just focusing on the area close to the national border. So the comparability of two groups are stronger than previous methodology. And now we are analyzing the grassland condition at grid cell level, 1 square kilometer grid cell level. Let's move on to the result. This figure shows that we find that the policy regulates management intensity measured by 3 different indicators. So specifically, policy decrease, for example, grazing stocking rate, and also the intensive grass greenness, which capture the management input, and also it decreased intervention frequency. And we find those negative or policy regulation impact only managed grassland and not natural grassland, as you might expect, because policy is regulating management only on managed grassland and it doesn't do anything for natural grassland. So far, I was talking about our global average impact of policy on grassland conditions. But policy impact might be heterogeneous among countries, so we conducted this heterogeneous analysis. First, we divided country into 3 groups in terms of governance ability and human development index. So blue line implies lower governance ability or human development index, red is middle, and green is high level of governance ability or human development index. And as figure shows, the impact of policy on bird species richness increase as the country condition in terms of governance ability or human development index increase. So there is not homogeneous policy impact, but rather each country has a different impact of policy on grassland condition. And lastly, we conducted country level analysis. I have to say this analysis is still working on progress, so I don't go to the details, but for this webinar, I conducted some continent level analysis and find that in Asia continent, we observed there is a positive impact of policy on bird species richness. Although this degree, the level is much smaller than the impact of policy on bird species richness in European countries. And I suggest this is because European country is successfully regulates the management intensity and which decrease food production from the statistically significant perspective, but Asia actually doesn't decrease food production statistically significantly. So because of that, the impact of policy on biodiversity measured by bird species richness is smaller than the level of European policy impact.
I'm sorry, can you get to the conclusion?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, this is almost same what I said, so I don't repeat them, but we find the trade-off of policy impact, but this is heterogeneous among countries. So as a policy recommendation, I would suggest that it is important not only implement just policy, but also we need to support governance ability or human development index. This kind of country condition improvement is really needed to regulate the management intensity. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks to you. Congratulations on your work. It was very nice to see the impact of policies in numbers. And actually, this will allow me to ask another couple of questions to our participants before opening the discussion and giving them also the opportunity to ask you and Giacomo questions. So the question that I would like to ask you now, still through polls, is the following. Would you say that the soil-related policies are well implemented in your country? Yes, or maybe it depends on the policy or not at all. Are soil-related policies well implemented in your country? I will close the poll shortly, so please hurry to answer the question. Maybe yes, it depends on the policy or not at all. Okay, the majority said yes, but it was very, very close. And unfortunately, in some countries, policies are there, but they are not well implemented. And then this brings me to the last question that is actually on the impacts of policies. Are the impacts of policies monitored and evaluated? What presented by Chiara was very, very detailed. We don't expect countries to do this work at such a scale, but maybe they still have a monitoring and evaluation framework in place. So are the impacts of policies monitored and evaluated? Yes, it depends on the policy. To some extent, the impacts of all policies are monitored and evaluated, or no, so not at all. Remember, you can always stretch the window that comes in front of you if you are unable to read the whole sentence. I'm about to close the poll, so please hurry. Okay, in this case, the majority said that the policies are monitored and evaluated to some extent, the impacts of policies. And then equally, we have an equal number of participants that said that yes, the impacts of policies are well monitored and evaluated, or it depends on the policy. Many, many thanks for taking the poll. I will now open the floor for questions and maybe a bit of open discussion on this. Is there anyone that would like to take the floor or ask questions to our speakers? There are actually a couple of questions that are unanswered in the Q&A. maybe we can start from there. But again, remember, you can raise your hand and I can give you the floor to answer live, to ask your question or make your statement live. Okay, then maybe I can ask the following question. I think it relates to the presentation of Dr. Putasso. The question is if you have explored or established also carbon credits for incentivizing local farmers in Thailand. This is for Dr. Putasso.
So thank you. In case of carbon credits in the farmers now, I think actually we have the other office that they action about the carbon credit. But in case of land development department, we just now in this year we have the projects, implementation projects to set how to monitor or how to analyze the carbon content in the farmer fields, especially the integrated farming in with the farmers. I think this project it will start this year. That's why but I try to collaborate with the other office that actions for the carbon credit. Yeah, but yeah, my point for carbon credit. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Gina, this other one is for you. Are mobile laboratories effective in soil analysis?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that question. Actually, the mobile soil laboratories that I mentioned, about 17 of them, intended for all regions in the country, would contain the same instrument that you will find in our conventional laboratory. So as it is now, we still have to see the how it will be effective in all of the regions by which it is meant. However, we already have developed the mechanism on how it will operate. But obviously, this will be a very welcome strategy to all our farmers, especially those who are not accessible or who are not able to get services from traditional laboratories. It is meant to go to the remote laboratories of the country, remote farms in our country. It will work closely with the local government units and our regional Department of Agriculture. It will be a partnership among the different stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the mobile laboratories are popular among farmers, right?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. We're bringing in the services to the countryside.
Thank you very much. Then I have a question for Kirara. My question is the following. Did you feedback the governments of the countries, that you use the policies of or frameworks of with the results of your work? Did you provide them any feedback?
Thanks for the question. So now actually we are not yet completed this analysis and we are now the writing phase. So after that, we want to publish this to the journal so that many people can read our analysis, our research, and hopefully we would like to give this to the government or world organization, or some international research institute so that many policymakers can hear what we found. But for now, it's not yet because now we're still this analyzing phase. But yes, we would like to do in near future.
Thank you very much. Giacomo, maybe a question also for you. You mentioned a series of nice documents, and yeah, I think they're all documents, not the GSP is producing at present. So can you give us an idea of when they will be released, please?
The ITPS letter defining the this concept of soil governance hopefully will be published within this year. So probably around December, and the other two major documents require a lot of efforts, both from our side and the legal office of FAO. So probably during 2025. So in the next year, we have some draft version, but still we are not happy with what we got. So we are still developing, trying to add new concepts. So maybe the One Health approach. How can we integrate it under a legal perspective in the sustainable soil management and protection? So we are trying to add new concepts in this document. But many thanks for the question, Lucrezia.
Thanks to you for your work. Now, heading towards the end of the webinar, I would like to share again my screen to touch on a very last point, that is the event that I announced at the beginning of the webinar. So the International Soil and Water Forum 2024. This is a global event taking place in Bangkok from 9 to 11 of December. And the theme will be managing water scarcity and reversing soil degradation for sustainable and resilient agri-food systems. So the main themes of the forum are the one you see on screen. There will be one on water, so managing water scarcity, one on land, focusing on reversing land degradation, boosting land restoration, one on soil, so sustainable soil management, and the last one is on integrated approaches with the link to climate change and climate resilient land, soil and water management. Now, this is just to inform you that at present, the call for abstract and call for side events, it's already open. Deadline for submissions is 15th of September. And as anticipated at the beginning of the webinar, there will also be a call for stands at the Knowledge and Technology Fair. So if you developed any innovative tools or technologies regarding the integrated management of soil and water resources, you are welcome to submit an application for a stand. We will be very happy to interact with whatever you developed. And the same applies for your work. If you have any innovative work or work that you think deserve to be presented, please write an abstract and join us in Bangkok. Now, I'm telling you all of this, of course, to get you to Thailand, but also because we are currently finalizing the discussion on the thematic sessions at the forum. And in this regard, there is the possibility to have a thematic session on the creation of socioeconomic and political environments to the practice of sustainable soil management. So I take this opportunity to ask you what you think of this opportunity. Would this be an interesting topic to include in the forum agenda? And if so, what aspects of the topic shall we focus the discussion on the most at the forum? So now I open the floor for intervention or remarks, if you have any. Yes, I see a hands up. Let me, Dr. Pitayakon, please.
Oh, yes, I want to respond in your last question that you asked Dr. Anop Putaso. In the case of the soil carbon credit, in the agricultural land, we did not have so much. But in the forest land, we have some of it that implement in some area. We try to set, that means not the LDD, but we have another agency that Dr. Putaso also refer. we try to set something, the procedure to the agriculture, but it's still very difficult for make the carbon credit.
Mhm.
In the case of mobile lab that you asked Dr. Gina, in Thailand also have the mobile lab that also workable, but we have a small equipment, not only the soil test kit, but we have the equipment, and then we analyze. Another level that we also have the soil test kit in the soil doctor in the local area, in the village, something like that. That is my add the information for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for complimenting the picture on Thailand. It was very well noted. Anyone else that would like to take the floor? Maybe I stop sharing so I can see you. And check the comments. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Khan, you should have the permission to talk already, please. Mr. Khan? Rohani Khan? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, I have one question before you discussed about the mobile laboratory. As you know, we have the main laboratory in the center of Kabul, but we want to purchase or we want to buy a mobile laboratory. My question is that how much is the effects of mobile laboratory than the on-mobile, for example, the central laboratory? It will be have a good accuracy than the on-mobile laboratory.
Thank you. I see you muted yourself, so I think you completed your question. And I see Gina has her hands up, so maybe she can also reply your question while making her statement. Gina, over to you, please.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, actually, I'm supposed to reply on the question about the conduct of the Soil and Water Forum. But of course, I'm interested to answer the last question. But however, I am not clear about the question. Can we please rephrase the question?
My question is that you mentioned about the mobile laboratory. How much is the effects? The mobile laboratory, it is better than the on mobile or no? Yeah, how much is the accuracy rate?
How much is the
I
is
think
it the cost?
accuracy.
Accuracy. Okay.
I think so.
We're still yeah. As I said, the equipment that will be housed in the mobile soil laboratories are almost the same equipment that we have in a conventional lab. But although in our conventional lab, we have already upgraded to ICP OES. But for the mobile soil laboratory, we have the AAS. And we also have the, how's that? UBVs for phosphorus. And we also house the analysis for biological parameters and soil physics. As to how it will impact, you mean? The intention is really to provide laboratory services to our farmers for those who cannot access the conventional laboratories that are present in their own regions. So it is mobile in a sense that it will have to consider also the cropping calendar of the particular areas by which it is going to operate. And it will have to consider the accessibility of the farmers. It will also employ about 6 professional staff initially, 2 chemists, 2 agriculturists, 2 laboratory technicians, and 1 information system officer. Anything that will be analyzed in the mobile soil laboratories are also connected and are in database connected to the central laboratory. So it will operate also just like a conventional laboratory. Thank you.
Okay, okay, many thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And actually, Thailand is
Dr. Lucro,
commenting in the chat. So, Mr. Khan, if you want to have a look at the chat, you also have the feedback from Thailand to your question. Gina, please.
Okay. Now, thank you, Dr. Lucrecia, for the floor. Now, I would like to comment regarding the Soil and Water Forum. Yes, I think it's also good to introduce the topic on soil governance or soil policy in the forum. Because the forum, as shown in the themes, actually is an opportunity to explore and to see all the different aspects of soil governance. And in what particular topic? That is the second question that was asked. I think the fourth, is that the fourth theme? But anyway, it is the last theme that was flashed on the screen that talks about climate resilient food system. So I believe that to include the factor on environment is a good topic for policy because I think environment is very much advanced in terms of policies. Just like as mentioned by my friend Dr. Charles from Thailand, yes, even with us, carbon credits for agricultural land or sustainable soil management are not as much for agriculture, but you will notice that when you talk about the environment, is very much advanced. But of course, now when we talk about production in agriculture, we also talk about biodiversity and climate change, as mentioned by my friend from our resource speaker. She talks about even the availability of the bird species. So we talk about biodiversity. And I think the last theme will be very useful to engage both the agriculture and environment sector when they talk about policies. In the Philippines alone, if we talk about policies, initially before, there is a very rigid boundaries. As they say, public lands are lands above 18%. Private, alienable and disposable lands are below 18%. So they would say before, long time ago, so agriculture is limited within 18%. Forest can go from above 18%. But actually, actual use does not show that. Most of our hilly lands and uplands are already being used for agriculture, even encroaching on the protected areas. So that is one example. Environment has many laws, protected areas, not touch, but here is agriculture trying to encroach on some of these lands. So I think the last theme to include climate resilient and environment is a good topic for policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gina. Well noted. Anyone else that would like to intervene before we close the webinar? Okay. Then I'm proceeding with official closure. Many thanks to all of you for your active participation, and many thanks to all our speakers for their wonderful presentations, and congratulations on their work and the country achievements. Please do not hesitate to contact us in case of questions or need. I will send you follow-up emails with actually details also on the speaker, so you can also engage in bilateral exchanges if you feel like. All presentations will be shared as well by email, as well as the video recording of the webinar. Once again, thank you all, and we wish you a very good rest of your day.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr.
Thank
Lucrecia.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, many thanks.
God